Hello everyone, myself Mahesh Shetty. I am going to speak on causes of inflation. My dear friends, in a very general terminology, inflation is nothing but a rise in prices of commodities as well as service and a fall in values of money. This inflation is caused by various reasons or factors. Such factors are broadly categorized or grouped under two major types. That two types are the two forces of market. In each and every market one could see two forces. One is from demand side and the one is from supply side. So what are the different factors from demand as well as supply side? If you look at this slide, you can really understand what are the different points. See here, the factors affecting demand. The first is increase in money supply. See, the monetary economists had of the same opinion that in any economy, when money in circulation rises, it automatically leads to inflation. It is because of the fact that when people starts to have money in more and more number or quantity in their pocket, then they start to afford more and more of commodities as well as service. This leads to a higher demand for commodity in the market, but the economy cannot produce that extent of commodity up to the demand of the people. Then demand will rise and supply of commodity will remain with the same stage. Then automatically price of commodity will starts to rise. This is of the first fact or factor which leads to inflation, that is supply of money. The second is increase in disposable income. Disposable income is nothing but, my dear friends, it is an amount of money which is kept by any individual or people to spend on commodity as well as service. When people starts to hold money for this purpose, then certainly demand for commodity will rise. As demand for commodity rises, when the economy is unable to produce commodity at the same level, then automatically the price of commodity will jump. Then it leads to inflation. Then increase in public expenditure. When government starts to spend more and more on public utility services or on different areas which will benefit the people, it makes the people to get more and more of money to their pocket, and certainly demand for commodity becomes more and prices of commodity starts to rise. And one more is increase in consumer spending. When people starts to spend more and more of money, for example, it means that, see, a person gets 500 rupees of wage or an income for a day. If he starts to spend out of 500 rupees around 400 or 300, it means that he starts to afford more and more of commodity. Then automatically the demand for commodity in the market tends to rise. When this demand rises, automatically along with demand, price of commodity will also rise, because as I have said in the earlier that since economy has its own limitation in the production, economy will not reach up to that extent where people is demanding the commodity. This is also the another important reason. And one more is cheap monetary policy. It means that when the economy or government is unable to stop this inflation by taking up good monetary policies or decisions, then it may also leads to inflation. Deficit financing is another reason which comes under factors affecting demand. Deficit financing means printing or issuing of new currency notes when economy wants, and it also makes inflation. Expansion of private sector. When private sector starts to build more and more of buildings, and which makes more and more of investment, then automatically it triggers the people of the society to get more and more of commodities. And black money, a very important reason for having inflation of in the economy. Black money is nothing but the money which is kept by the people without paying tax to the government. So recently we had an experience of black money impact recently the India government, it has stopped the flow of this black money to an extent by demonetization. What happens when black money appears at more number in the economy? See, without paying tax, when people holds money with themselves, when people starts to mobilize money without paying tax, this unearned money, this black money is called as unearned money. This unearned money starts to buy more and more of commodities. See, when this black money appears at a greater extent in the economy, it starts to buy more and more of goods, and it suddenly raises the demand for commodity, and it makes the people worse off to get commodities to their money. This is what the another important reason. And one more is increase in exports. Means when people is unable to get their commodity from the economy, it means that when economy starts to produce its goods and services only for the sake of export, then certainly it raises the price of domestic commodity. Means people may not possible to have their own commodity in the economy. These are the factors affecting demand. Now, what are the factors affecting supply? The first is a shortage of factors of production. My dear friends, to produce any of commodity or service, we have to have four major factors of production. They are land, labor, capital, organization. When these factors of production becomes very short in the economy, then certainly the cost of production becomes more. When cost of production becomes more, then it makes the prices of commodities goes up. It is what the first reason under supply factors. The another one is industrial disputes. Industrial dispute is nothing but when industrial disputes or dialogues between the owners and workers between in the company or in any working place takes place, then certainly it makes the company or any industry shut down, because usually industrial disputes takes place for having of more wage or salaries for the workers or laborers. When the workers starts to demand more and more of salaries or wages, then suppose the owners of the factory or enterprise, if they are not ready to give the same amount of salary, then this dialogues turns into stop of any company or any industry. When industry stops their process of production, automatically the supply of commodity in the economy becomes very less and less. And when supply becomes less and less, since demand is increasing in the economy, then a huge gap in between demand and supply takes place. This huge gap raises the prices of commodity as well as service in the economy. And one more is natural calamity. Natural calamities like floods, famines, rainfall takes place. It takes off all the produced goods and services. Then it makes very less amount of goods in the market, and again it leads to inflation. Artificial scarcity is another reason. Artificial scarcity is nothing but hoarding. Hoarding means when people starts to hoard, or when they start to make artificial scarcity of commodity in the market with an intention of getting more of profit, it also leads to inflation. Then they will be having the privilege or opportunity to fix more price for their produce. It also leads to inflation. And one more reason is increase in export. When country starts to produce goods only for the sake of exports, then the price of domestic commodity becomes very costly. Then it leads to inflation. And one more factor is international factor. There are so many countries internationally, they used to depend on another country. When any problem takes place in any kind of economy, then certainly it travel over the other country which is dependent on the same. So these are the various factors affecting inflation from the supply side. These are the various factors which cause inflation from demand and supply side. Thank you for listening.